Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर निवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण dear devotee. So today is Thursday. It is 8th of August. It is Shravana Masa, Shridhara Masa, Sukla Paksham, Chaitya Tithi. So there are two events today. So one is the disappearance of Shri Raghunandan Thakur, and another one is the disappearance day of Shri Vamshidhara Dasi Babaji. So these are the two events. So there are a few lines from ISKCON.com. So Srila Raghunandana Thakura, he is the son of Mukunda. So Shri Mukunda Das and Madhav Das and Shri Narahari Sarkar Thakur were three brothers who lived in a village of Srikanda. Raghunandan was the son of Shri Mukunda Das. In the house of Shri Mukunda Das, who lives at Srikanda, Lord Shri Gopinath is served with great devotion. One day, Mukunda was called out to do some work, and then he instructed his son Raghunandan to worship the deity and asked him to serve the Lord Gopinath that day. He explained to him that this deity is in our family for many generations, and thus he has been worshipped by my father and his father and his father and on and on. In this way, for many years, just as your mother feeds you and I every day, so also she has to be fed every day. Having explained to Raghunandan that this is a very big responsibility and he should be very careful to give his full attention to this service. Mukunda went out. Raghunandana, meanwhile, having been instructed by his father, collected the items for offering to Sri Gopinathji and entered into the deity room. So Raghunandan was at that time barely 5 years old. And therefore, when he saw that Gopinath had not eaten the offering after he had imitated how his father offered the bhoga, he became very worried. Ultimately, he simply requested Gopinath with tears in his eyes, please eat, eat. Gopinath became completely subjected by Raghunandan's simple request, which was made entirely in love, and thus he stealthily ate up everything without leaving any remnants. After some time, Raghunandan's father, Mukunda, returned and asked his son if he had done as he was told. When his son replied yes, then Mukunda asked him to bring some of the prasadam. Raghunandan replied, Prasadam, I offered everything just like you told me, and Gopinath ate everything. So what should I bring you now? Mukunda was completely taken aback. This boy is not naughty, and he is always accustomed to speak the truth. I doubt if he could have eaten everything. I wonder what actually have happened. So, musing on this matter in this way for some time, on another day, his curiosity was so stirred that he again requested Raghunandan to offer the bhoga to Gopinath on that day. On this day, however, having gone out of the house, he again came in by another way and remained hiding in one place. Raghunandan was very happy to be able to serve Sri Gopinathji again and brought everything into the deity room. As before, he again very insistently persuaded Gopinath his meal. As Gopinath had eaten half of laddu, he espied Mukunda peering out from his hiding spot. He didn't try to cover up the fact that he had eaten what he had, but neither did he eat any more. Seeing all this, Mukunda was completely immersed in ecstatic love and picked up his son and put him on his lap. He extolled his virtues in a voice trembling with ecstasy, all the while torrents of tears of joy falling from his eyes. Even today, those who are greatly fortunate can still see that half-eaten laddu in Gopinath's lotus hand. Thus, Sri Uddhav Das sings the glories of Raghunandan, who is not different from Madan. Raghunandan was present at the Ketori Utsav. In Krishna Leela, he was Kandarpa Manjari, and in Dwarka Leela, he was Sri Krishna's son Kandarpa. Raghunandan's son is Kanai Thakur. His descendants are still residing at Srikanda. Srikanda can be easily reached from the Katwa by bus or train. He was born in the year 1432 Shakabda. That is Raghunandan Das Thakur's disappearance day. Shri Raghunandan Das Thakur ki jai. And another event is Shri Vamsi Das Bhabaji. So it is from the again iskandct.com. So Vamsi Das Babaji was Siddha Mahatma in the disciplic succession of Shri Narottama Thakura. The name of his Diksha Guru was Harilal Rajavasi, and the name of his Vesha Guru was Ramananda Rajavasi. But it was difficult to know that he was Siddha because he lived far away from the world in a solitary place on the bank of Ganga near Baralgata in Navadvipa. As he was renounced by the world as an idiotic, idiotic and worthless destitute, but the fact is that it is not the world that he had renounced him, but he who had renounced the world as worthless. He hardly had any worldly possessions. His only possessions were an old Kaupina, Karanga, and Kanta. Once Sripada Haridas Goswami asked him why he did not wear uh, Bahirvasa. He replied, I live only with Ka, which means Kaupina, Karanga, and Kanta. I have nothing to do with Ba, which means Bahirvasa or outer garment. Bahirvasa brings relationship with the outer world and the people who are Bahiranga, that is, those who are attached to the outer world. My Gaura has asked me not to wear Bahirvasa and mix with people who are Bahiranga. Vamsidasa Babaji lived in a world of his world centered around his deities Gaura Gadadara, Nitai, Radha Krishna, and Gopala. He has got few deities Gaura, Gadadara, Nitai, and Radha Krishna and Gopala. For the service of these deities, he had two brass pots, some earthen pots, one plate and one glass, one small, some small cups, panchapatra, bell and conch shell, and nothing else. Baba passed day and night in the service of the deities and in sweet talks with them. Early in the morning, he went out from his kuti to collect flowers. Then he went for bhiksha. He returned to the kuti about noon and made garlands from the flowers for each of the six deities. After that, he started cutting vegetables. He washed each vegetable a number of times. Then he cleansed rice. He examined each grain of rice if he found any grain from which that husk was not removed. He removed it with his own hand. He did everything slowly, contemplating all the time the Leela of Radha Krishna or Gauri Nitai and singing or talking to them. It was only late in the evening that he could cook and offer bhoga to the deities. He had no consciousness of time. Morning and evening, day and night had no meaning for him. Almost the whole night he kept awake, talking and singing. Once Sripad Haridas Goswami was surprised to see him cooking for the deities at about 9 a.m. He said to him, Baba, it would be fine if you prepared bhoga for the deities like this in the morning every day. He replied, I do not know morning or evening. Am I their father's servant, so to feed them at appointed hours? If they want to eat like that, let them make their own arrangements for cooking. Let Gadadhar cook for Gaura. Nita is Avaduta. He has no caste. He can go and eat anywhere. I do not worry about my Gopala. A milk cow comes here every day and gives him milk. He can live on that. I have to worry about Radha Krishna. For them, I will have to cook a little rice and vegetables. If I don't, they will go to Vrindavana and do Madhukari. Vamsidasa Baba never locked the door of his kutir when he went out for bhiksha or to bathe in the uh, Ganga. If someone asked him why he did not lock the kutir, he said, if the owner of the house himself does not keep a watch and has a soft corner for the thief, what is the use of locking the house? I do not even keep the keys of the lock with me. The lock has three keys, all the three one are with the three boys. One is with Gaura and one with Nitai and one with Gadadhara. After entrusting the lock and the keys to the three boys, Baba used to be free from the anxiety. If while he was out, a cow entered the kuti and turned everything topsy-turvy, he would be angry with the boys. If someone stole something from the kuti, he would say, Gaura has a soft corner for Nadiavasis, the residents of his own Dhamma. Therefore, he gives things away to them. I am, after all, an outsider. Once a gold necklace given by someone to Gaura was stolen. When he had gone out for Bhiksha, on returning to the kuti, he kept on scolding Gaura and asking him whom he had given away the necklace. For about 2 hours. Towards the evening, he got a hint. He then went to the house of the thief and asked him for the necklace. The thief pushed him down and veranda of his house. He was hurt, but he did not say anything. But how could Gaura tolerate this? The thief soon died, as well as all other family members of his. So once Baba had to punish Gauri Nitai for their connivance in a theft. The two brass pots in which Baba used to cook for Gauri Nitai were stolen. How could this happen without the connivance of Gauri Nitai? So they were punished. Baba scolded them and did not give them anything to eat that day. The punishment had its effect. The next day, someone came quietly and delivered one of those pots. Baba said, this small pot is Nitai's. He will be fed today. If Gaura wants to eat, he must also bring his pot. Baba always did what he said. He cooked and offered bhoga to Nitai. Gaura drew a long face as he kept looking at Nitai eating. In the meantime, another man came and delivered the other pot. Baba then cooked in that pot and offered bhoga to Gaura. When Gaura also had eaten, he said with tears in his eyes, do I ever want to punish you? But both of you are so naughty that you must always tease me. You do not know that I have now become old and cannot bear it all. What can I do? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also received the blessings of Srila Vamsidas Babaji Maharaja in Navadvip. Seeing Srila Saraswati Thakura, Srila Vamsidas Babaji Mahasaya would say, someone very close to my Gaura has come to me. And Vamsivat Babaji was a Gaudiya sadhu who lived at Swarupa Gunj during the time of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's mission. He was respected by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, and he used to see to it that Vamsivat Babaji was provided with grains and so on by Gaudiya Mata Brahmacharis whom he would send to Swarupa Gunj from the Yoga Peeth Mandir. So towards the end of his life, Baba once went to his birthplace, Majidpur in district Maimansinha. He carried the deities with him on the way. He neither ate nor slept nor passed stool or urine. On reaching Majidpur, he stayed in dilapidated temple. After that, he went to Vrindavana and Puri. In Vrindavana, he stayed on the bank of Yamuna. In Puri, on the bank of Narendra Sarovara. He never went inside the temple for darshana. During these travels, the sadhus of the Gaudiya Mata rendered great service to him. Nothing is known about Baba's life as a householder, except that he was married at early age and his son Harachandra was 9 or 10 years old when he renounced the world. He went to Navadvipa about the year 1906. The author once tried to see him in 1932 but could not because the door of his kutir was closed. Though he could hear him talking to the deities in Maimansinha dialect. He left the world in 1944. So these are some information from the IskonDessertic.com. So that is the disappearance day of Vamsidas Babaji. Okay, that is from the events perspective. We shall quickly move into daily Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, so Lord Brahma speaking to Narada Muni. So after glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they say explaining about his self-realizations that his words never been proved false. His mind is always in the spiritual path, never in the degraded path, and his senses are never attached to the material things because he keeps the Lord in his heart all the time. And though he is the master of all the Prajapatis and all the great sages, and even though he has performed so many austerities, and he is the perfect in the austerities, and he is in the self-realization as well. But still, he could not understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. सोऽहं समाम्नायमयः तपोमयः प्रजापतीनाम् अभिवन्दितः पतिः आस्तायोगं निपुणं समाहितः तं नाध्यगत्यं यत् आत्मसम्भवः. Even though I am the son of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, born out of the lotus, but still I could not understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tam nadhyagatyam yat atmasambhavah. So after saying that, Brahma says to Narada Muni, so his lotus feet, it is only uh, the shelter if one wants to get out of this material world, which is of birth and death. That is the all auspiciousness. So, and all his glories are unlimited, just like the sky is unlimited. The sky is unlimited. So, except surrendering myself onto the lotus feet of the Lord, what can I do? Because he is unlimited. I cannot understand fully. Likewise, so just he is saying what should be the action now? Just simply offer obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His glories are unlimited, and likewise, Brahma is saying to Narada Muni. We are in the Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, chapter 6, verse number 36. न तोऽस्म्यहं तच्चरणं समीयुषां भवच्चिदं स्वस्तयेनं सुमङ्गलं यो ह्यात्ममाया विभवं स्म पर्यगात् यथा नभः स्वान्तमता परे कुतः न तोऽस्मि अहम्. I am offering my obeisances onto that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nato asmyaham tacharanam, unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tacharanam, the Lord's lotus feet. Samiyusham, so of the surrendered soul. Brahma is saying that I am the surrendered soul onto the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nato asmyaham tacharanam samiyusham bhavachidam, and that lotus feet which stops the repetition of birth and death for a surrendered soul. Bhavachidam, Bhavachidam, Swastayenam, Sumangalam, Swastayenam, Sumangalam, and it is the lotus feet of the Lord. It is the perception of all happiness, Sumangalam, and all auspiciousness. That is the glories of the lotus feet of the Lord. Bhavachidam, Swastayenam, Sumangalam. यो ह्यात्ममाया विभवं स्म पर्यगात्. Yo he exactly. So one who is exactly Atmamaya Vibhavam or Vaibhavam. So the personal energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and all his opulences, Vaibhavam. Yo Atmamaya Vibhavam Sma Paryagar. Sma Paryagar. Definitely they cannot be estimated by anyone. They are unlimited. The Lord's are Atmamaya Vibhavam Sma Paryagat. Definitely, they are unlimited unlimited glories. Yatanabaha, giving the analogy, Yatanabaha, as much as the sky, Swantam, Swantam, and it by its own limit. So the sky doesn't have any limits. So likewise, Yatanabaha Swantam by its own limit. Atapare Kutaha. Therefore, others, how do anyone know about the glories of the sky? Likewise, how do any people can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead? The sky itself doesn't know its glories. Likewise, Lord also doesn't know his glories. Likewise, how can anyone can know the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Likewise, Brahma is saying to Narada Muni. So only surrendering onto the lotus feet of the Lord, that is the only action he could do it. नतोऽस्म्यहं तच्चरणं समीयुषां भवच्चिदं स्वस्तयनं सुमङ्गलं यो ह्यात्ममाया विभवं स्म पर्यगात् यथा नभः स्वान्तम् अतः परे कुतः. Likewise, Brahma saying. So translation for this verse. Therefore, it is best for me to surrender onto his feet, which alone can deliver one from the miseries of repeated birth and death. Such surrender is all auspicious and allows one to perceive all happiness. Even the sky cannot estimate the limits of its own expansion. So, what can others do when the Lord Himself is unable to estimate His own limits? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So can I request any unallocated devotees to read the purport?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, may I?
Yes, Mataji, please.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Lord Brahma, the greatest of all learned living beings, the greatest sacrificer, and the greatest observer of the austere life, and the greatest self-realized realized mystic, advise us as the supreme spiritual master of all living beings that one should simply surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord in order to achieve all success, even up to the limit of being liberated from the miseries of material life and being endeavored with all auspicious spiritual existence. Lord Brahma is known as the Pitamaha, or the father's father. A young man consults his experienced father about discharging his duties, so that father is naturally a good advisor. But Lord Brahma is the father of all fathers. He is the father of all, of the father of Manu, who is the father of mankind all over the universal planets. Therefore, the men of this insignificant planet should kindly accept the instruction of Brahmaji and would do well to surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord rather than try to estimate the length and breadth of the Lord's potencies. His potencies are immeasurable, as confirmed in the Vedas. Parasya Shakti Vividaiva Kshatriya Swabhav Swabhav what is-
Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriyacha.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes. Okay. It's stated in Shetaswara Upanishad 6.8. He is the greatest of all, and all others, even the greatest of all living beings, namely Brahmaji, admits that the best thing for us is to surrender unto him. Therefore, only those persons with a very poor fund of knowledge claim that they themselves are lords of all that they survey. And what can they survey? They cannot survey even the length and breadth of a small skin in one small universe. The so-called material scientist says that he would need to live 40,000 years to reach the highest planet of the universe, being carried by a Sputnik. This is also utoplan because no one can be expected to live 40,000 years. Besides, when the space pilot returned from his travel, none of his friends would be present to receive him back at the greatest astronaut as he's become fashionable for modern bewildered scientific men. One scientific man who had no belief in God was very much enthusiastic in making plans for his material existence and therefore opened a hospital to save the livings. But after opening the hospital, he himself died within 6 months. So, one should not spoil his human life, which is obtained after many chances of bodies in 8,004,000 species of life, simply for the corrected material happiness of life through necessary artificial needs in the name of advancement of economic development and scientific knowledge. Rather, one should simply surrender unto the feet of the Lord to make a solution of all miseries of life. This is the instruction of Lord Krishna directly in the Bhagavad Gita, and that is the instruction of Srimad Bhagavatam by Brahmaji, the Supreme Father of all living beings. Anyone denying this surrendering process as recommended both in the Bhagavad Gita and in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and for the matter in all authorized scriptures, will be forced to surrender unto the laws of nature, material nature. The living entity by his constitutional position, it is not independent. He must surrender either unto the Lord or unto the material nature. Material nature is also not independent of the Lord, since the Lord himself has claimed material nature is as Maya, Mamo Maya, or my energy. Bhagavad Gita 7.14. And as me, Bihenna Prakriti Astadha, or my separated energy in 8 divisions. Bhagavad Gita 7.4. Therefore, material nature is also controlled by the Lord, as he has claimed in Bhagavad Gita 9.10. Mayakshana Prakritis Sutya Sakarmacharam. Under my direction, only the material nature working, and thus are all things moving, and the living entities being superior energy to matter have choose and discrimination either to surrender unto the Lord or to surrender unto material nature. By surrendering unto the Lord, one is happy and liberated. But by surrendering unto material nature, the living entity suffers. So, the end of all sufferings means surrendering unto the Lord, because the surrendering process itself is bhavasiddham, liberation from all material miseries. Satasya ayanam, perception of all happiness, and Shumangalam, the source of everything auspicious. Therefore, liberty, happiness, and all good fortune can be attained only by surrendering unto the Lord, because He is full liberty, full happiness, and full auspiciousness. Such liberation and happiness are also unlimited, and they have been compared to the sky. Although such liberation and happiness are infinitely greater than the sky, in our present position, we can simply understand the magnitude of the greatest when it is compared to the sky. We fail to measure the sky, but the happiness and the liberty obtained in association with the Lord are far greater than the sky. The spiritual happiness is so great that it cannot be measured even by the Lord Himself, not to speak of others. It is said in the scriptures, Brahma Sukhyam tu Anantam. Spiritual happiness is unlimited. Here it is said that even the Lord cannot measure such happiness. This doesn't mean that the Lord cannot measure it, and is therefore imperfect in that sense. The actual position is the Lord can measure it, but the happiness in the Lord is also identical with the Lord on account of absolute knowledge. So, the happiness derived from the Lord may be measured by Lord, but the happiness increases again, and the Lord measures it again. And then again the happiness increases more and more, and the Lord measures it more and more. And as such, there is eternally a competition between increment and measurement. So much so that the competition is never stopped, but goes on unlimitedly at infinite spiritual happiness and Ananda Buddhi Vardhanam, or the ocean of happiness which increases. The material ocean is stagnant, but the spiritual ocean is dynamic. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila, 4th chapter, Kaviraj Goswami, he has very nicely described this dynamic increment of the ocean of the spiritual happiness in the transcendental person of Srimati Radharani, the pleasure potency of Lord Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Hare Krishna. Jai.
Thank you so much, Mataji. It is very long purport, but very beautiful descriptions.
Exactly. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Okay, so we are not going to do complete thing. So we'll just hear Prabhupada is mentioning even the Brahma is the greatest of all the living beings and great sacrifice, the great observer of the austerity life, and even the self-realization. He advises simply surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord. So Prabhupada says, stressing the point. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadharman parityajya mam ekam saranam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshishami ma suchaha. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says repeats the same statement. Surrender yourself onto lotus feet of Krishna. And Brahma is saying the same thing. Surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord. And Prabhupada also brought the same message to this world, Bhagavad Gita as it is, making all the living entities surrender themselves onto the lotus feet of the Lord. Then to achieve all success, even up to the limit of being liberated from the miseries of material life and being endowed with all auspicious spiritual existence. And Brahma is the Pitamaha, he is the father of all living entities and also father of mankind. So that way he is Pitamaha and Krishna is the Prapitamaha. He is before the Pitamaha. So likewise, and then that Brahma is saying to us, just you surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, and also he is mentioning that Lord's glories are Sma Paryaga, they are unlimited. So saying that from the Vedas, it is the Parasa Sektir Vividaiva Shruyate Swabhaviki Jnana Balakriyacha. The Lord doesn't have to do personally he himself. All his energies work for his pleasure. So that is the Parasektir Vividaiva Shruyate Swabhaviki Jnana Balakriyacha from the Svedashvatara Upanishad. And then there are further information, and then so here materialistic person even to go to the Brahmaloka 40,000 years, no one can live. Even though if he goes there and comes back that to prove that I have gone and show off to all of his friends and family, but by the time there is no friends and family. This is the custom of modern men, show offs. So that is about that one. And then later on, Prabhupada is saying that one cannot maintain any such kind of show-offs for longer period. So he cannot live here. Giving an example, a person to establish his fame by establishing the hospital, he himself died within the 6 months. So likewise, one cannot maintain his happiness within the material attachments. So one should simply surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord to make a solution to all miseries of life. That is the instruction of Lord Krishna. And Prabhupada is bringing, and because if one is not serving to the lotus feet of Krishna, he has to serve the material nature. Material nature is the apasyat purusham purnam mayam chatad apashrayam. Maya is behind Krishna. Maya is behind Krishna. So he has to serve Krishna or the Maya. So this is Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Dhritya Maya Meta Mamyeva Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarintite. One who surrenders unto me, I will protect them. Otherwise, my illusory energy is very strong. It will put him into the material birth and death, this cycle here. And that material nature directs, it works under my direction. My adhyakshena prakriti suite characharam hetunanena kaunteya jagad viparivartate. Likewise, Krishna says, and the material nature, what is the material nature? This is bhumirapo nalo vayu kam mano buddhirevacha ahankariti yeme bhinna prakriti rastada. That is material nature. So one is the spirit spark. He is not the material which is made up of these eight bhinna prakriti. He is the spirit spark. Mamayvamsho jivaloke jivabhut sanatanaha. He is struggling here with his mind, thinking, feeling the pains and pleasures. So that point proper is stressing there. And then so one is the surrendering process itself is bhavachidam, liberate from all the material existence, material miseries. Swastayenam, that is the perception of all happiness, and sumangalam, source of everything auspicious. And then later on, Prabhupada is explaining about the liberation, what is the liberation and how much happiness one can obtain. And they are unlimited happiness when one is surrendered unto the lotus feet. Otherwise, if we think that we are the Lord, we have to maintain and struggle it. If you are the servant of the Lord, we do everything according to the will of the Lord. That's all. We don't take anything for ourselves. Then we do not have to struggle. Lord will look after it. So, and then Prabhupada explaining Brahmasokyam Tvanantam, that happiness comes from the tapasya. Sudyajasmat Brahmasokyam Tvanantam, that spiritual happiness is unlimited and one has to surrender, and they can get that kind of happiness surrendering themselves onto the lotus feet of the Lord. So there are Mayavadi yogis, they also experience Brahman pleasure. Brahmanando bhave jesha chet parartha gunikritaha naiti bhakti sukam bhodehe paramanu. So that is just like a in front of the happiness derived from the bhakti, devotional service, it is unlimited. Whereas the Brahmanando Bhavedesha, the Mayavadi's Brahman treasure, it is just like a mustard seed. And it is Brahmanando Bhavedesha Ched Padartha Gunikritaha. Ched Padartha Guni. If it is multiplied so many times, then that is not even Paramanu Tulamapi. That is like a Paramanu when it is compared to the bhakti, naiti bhakti sugam bhodehe. Even that is not even comparable to the mustard seed of happiness comes from devotional service. So that is Prabhupada is explaining here. So actual position is that Lord can measure it, but in the happiness in the world is also identical with the Lord on account of absolute knowledge. So here, and also Prabhupada, in the fourth chapter of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, uh, Kaviraj Goswami, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explained about uh, how the happiness is increasing, ever increasing between the gopis and Krishna. They serve Krishna for Krishna's pleasure, and Krishna is happy. By looking at Krishna's happiness, they will get more inspired and do it more. And Krishna will be more happy. Likewise, always there is competition. And then the transcendental person of Srimati Radharani. So the pleasure potency of the Lord, she serves like that. So it is always competition. That is explained in that chapter. It is very beautiful part. That is Anandam Vivardhanam. Okay, like that is from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Very just briefly. Brahma is saying that Natosmyaham tat charanam samiyusham bhavachidam swastayenam sumangalam yo hyatma maya vibhuvam sma paryagad yata nabaha swantam ata parekutaha. So apart from surrendering oneself to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what can anyone do? Because he cannot measure all his glories, his potencies. Surrendering down to the lotus feet of the Lord itself is all happiness and all auspiciousness. Okay, likewise, Brahma is saying that is from Srimad Bhagavatam. We shall quickly move to Srila Prabhupada's daily letter. So today it is letter to Naranarayana, March 21, 1970, Los Angeles. It is a small letter. Can I request any other unallocated devotee to read this?
Oh, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
My dear Narayan, please accept my blessings. I beg to acknowledge receipt of your letter addressed to Gargamuni, dated Nil, along with a new set of beads. I have conveyed the letter to Gargamuni after learning from it that you have lost your original set of japa beads and request me to chant on this. So I have duly chanted them as you have desired, and they are returned herewith enclosed. However, in future, please be very careful to keep these sanctified beads. You should be more heedful. Now be sure to chant at least the prescribed 16 rounds daily without fail. avoiding the 10 offenses to the holy name, and thus advance in spiritual strength. Hope this will meet you in good health. Your ever very wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Any takeaway points, Mataji?
So here that when the spiritual master give the japa beads, so have to be very careful and not to lose them. And 16 rounds daily without failing to just chant. So that is the Prabhupada's thing, and avoid the offense, 10 offenses for holy name. Hare Krishna.
Very
Yes,
good. Thank you so much,
the
Mataji.
10 offenses is against the holy name.
Yes, so these offenses every day we read in the morning before our chant. Okay, so thank you so much, Mataji. And dear devotees, any other points you wanted to add? Okay, so that is from Srila Prabhupada's letter. So just by chanting 16 downs daily without fail, avoiding the 10 offenses to the holy name, then he would advance in the spiritual strength. Okay, and whatever we get and receive from the spiritual master, we need to keep it very careful. Okay, that is from this Prabhupada's letter, and from the announcements point of view. So today evening we have Vati Krishna Katha at 8 p.m. With Ramnasa Prabhuji and Shyam Gudewada. Okay, that is our upcoming event. And also coming Saturday, we are going to start with Chaitanya Charitamrita. So now every fortnight Chaitanya Charitamrita and every fortnight Bhagavad Gita. So we'll be continuing that one. And dear devotees, your suggestions are welcome. So if you think any different ideas, so kindly share. Okay, so that is acceptance. I take it like that. Okay, so and apart from that, I don't have any other announcements. And today it is Saranya Mataji's daughter Janvi's Vidhyaramba. So starting her education, and her learning. So we all bless her from our Sangha. So that is one event is happening. Hare Krishna, Saranya Mataji. Okay, okay, Mataji.
Left Mahaprabhu.
Okay. Okay, so that is one event. And dear devotees, if you have got any other updates or you wanted to share anything on Krishna consciousness, kindly share. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Saranya Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, Prabhu, I got a call and I got it from the call. I'm sorry. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. As Prabhuji said, today is Janvi's Vidyarambha ceremony. So we are performing it today. A priest from ISKCON Madhura, Chaitanya Gopinath Prabhu, that Prabhu is doing it online. So I can kindly request all devotees to bless her. So this is the one of the important function ceremony in her life. So kindly bless her to becoming a nice devotee. So that's all we need. So kindly bless dear devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank
Yes.
you, Amol.
Can we all do just unmute and then chant 3 rounds of Hare Krishna as a blessing to Janvi?
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
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 Hare
Krishna,
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 Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama Rama Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare
Hare Rama Rama
Hare
Hare Hare,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, devotees. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Amaga Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Okay, so any other updates, dear devotees, or we shall conclude and continue with further japa. वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय।
Jai Shri
भगवान की जय।
Jai.
हरे
Hare
कृष्ण।
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.